All right, welcome back to our live Christmas show here at Food City in Johnson City, taking you back into the Food City kitchen now. We've got Chef Tony back with us, and I have solved the mystery. I said when I first came in, it smelled like Christmas, like something really good, something spectacular was in the oven. And this is what it was, isn't it?
That prime rib we just took out of the oven.
Oh my, it smells so good. So of course, we saw they were talking about all the different cuts of meat, and you're gonna give us some ideas on how to prepare those meats, because that's so important.
You know, it's one thing to be able to buy it downstairs, but if you don't really know what to do with it, it's really hard to work with. So there's just some simple, easy ways to kind of work with it, and as you can see what comes out of this. So we have a New York strip roast, like you saw for a second ago, and then that standing rib roast, that prime rib that's over there, and we prepared them two different ways, just to give you two different kind of ideas.
Okay.
They both work the same, so if you have a rib roast or a New York strip, you can cook either one in the same method. It's just, this is just two options for you.
Okay.
For most of my roasts, I really like to add flavor to them. You can see with both of these, they have a really good layer of fat on top, and that's actually a good thing. That's going to help pull moisture down through the meat. It's also going to get flavor in there for you.
Okay.
With that being said, you really want to make sure that you season it heavily. So I love to lay some fresh herbs directly on top of it. Get your flavor from building layers. We'll start with some thyme and some rosemary. Really makes it simple, but it really gives you that aromatic and that herby kind of flavor to it.
Okay.
And then we're going to do salt, pepper, and garlic. So with your salt and pepper, and we've talked about this before, you really want to add salt to things.
Okay.
When you have something that's that thick, you really want to make sure that, you know, this isn't really going to do a whole lot.
Okay.
You really want to make sure that you're kind of loading it on there and giving a good flavor to that, because it really has to cook all the way through that fat, but then it really has to cover and season that whole piece of meat in there. When you cut this, we're going to cut it really thin, and you're really only getting that salt crust on that thin edge.
Okay.
So that helps pull the flavor all the way through it, and it really makes a difference when you season it heavily versus something where you're just kind of going really light on those. For this, we want to make sure that you season the top. We also want to season the sides and the bottom.
Okay.
So make sure you're covering the whole piece of meat with it, especially when you're using something different.
Okay,
so for
sides
this
and
one,
bottoms. Look how crunchy it looks on the top.
it gets
it's
a perfect crust on the outside, and it still stays moist in the center. Really makes it easy.
Okay.
So for this one, we threw it in the oven at 500 degrees. We left it about 15 minutes, and then we turned the oven all the way down to about 225, and we left it in there for about 15 minutes per pound.
Okay, so we got the crispy on the outside, got that part done and seared it up.
Slow temperature in the middle.
And then on the inside, so it's going to be so tender.
And then we cut into this one just a little bit, and as you can see, we still have a really good color.
Oh, that's beautiful.
All the way through that steak as we go through.
See, there's a reason they have me with you for this segment, because we know with Chris, it would just be too tempting, wouldn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. He would say, do we have a fork, Tony?
I mean, and that's perfectly fine. We'll try it here in a minute.
It looks beautiful. And something like that, did you let it rest? You pulled it out?
So you really want to rest it for as long as you cook it. So if you cook it 45 minutes, letting it sit for a half hour, 45 minutes is a great rule. And you'll notice with that, the color has come all the way back to the edges. A lot of times you'll see steak and they'll be, you know, brown an inch around the edge and they're red in the center. And that's really because of the high heat, cooked it really fast.
Okay.
For this one, we had a high heat and then a low heat, so it just kind of cooked it slower and gave it a better opportunity.
See, I feel like I needed my notebook and my pen so I can write this all down. Good thing I can go back
It'll
and
be
rewatch
online.
it.
We can rewatch it. It's okay.
Okay, and that looks wonderful. And then how did you do this one?
So I like to wander in a grocery store. I'm terrible about it, and we have a huge spice aisle.
Yes.
And something down there caught my eye, and I won't say what it was, but I'll tell you that bourbon is a really, really big catchword right now.
Okay.
And apparently there are some bourbon flavored spices that are out there.
Ooh.
So we crusted that one completely, top, bottom, sides, middle, back, everything in a bourbon flavored spice. And it's going to give it a little bit of that smoky flavor and a little bit of that different taste to it. And then we did that one in a slow temperature for a long period of time.
Okay.
And that just gives you a little bit different texture.
And
great opportunity for smoking too.
When you put your stuff on there, did you kind of pat it all in so it made that?
Shake it, smash it, mush it, just
Get to
crust it as
know
hard
your
as you
meat
can.
a little bit.
Absolutely.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, don't be afraid of it.
Okay, and then that one, how did you baked it?
That one got baked at a low temperature for a longer period of time. So for that one, when you drop the temperature really low and you want to go to 225 or 235, you're looking at doing that for 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
But you'll get a very tender piece of meat. And the reason I cook the two of them differently like that is the ribeye is going to have a lot more fat in the center of it. And by doing it at a lower temperature for a longer period of time, you're going to render a lot more of that fat out. So that fat in the center is going to actually bleed into the meat a lot more, and you get a lot more flavor out of it.
Are you going to do the honors like at the Christmas table?
If you pass it, we'll cut it and we'll see.
I think that we should, so that we can see inside. That is a beautiful cut of meat. And then about how many people will something like that serve?
Me and Chris, or 6 or 8 of you. I mean,
okay.
Challenge accepted, right?
I get it. I get it. Yes.
So the nice thing about this is you can cut it, slice it however thick or thin you need it. And that really helps you keep your portions and control it, but you really get that really pretty center cut that gives you that color you're looking for with that. And you know, the flavor of this is fantastic. Now, the other reason I like these big roasts versus steaks, right? If we buy 4 steaks for the 4 of us, there's really not a whole lot you can do with it if you decide you don't want it. I can cut this as thick, as thin as I need it. And then to be honest with you, I'm a leftover fan, so this makes great cheesesteaks the next day, or makes great steak and eggs the next day. It's really easy to reuse or reheat or rework versus a steak that once you grill it, it's not a whole lot you can do with it.
Right, right. So this you can keep, and then if you do have those leftovers, you can do that in
You can do
multiple
something else
different
with
ways. So do you recommend just cutting off what you need?
I would cut it, you know, 4 or 5 of us, I'll cut 4 or 5 strips. We need more, you can always keep cutting.
It smells so good. I wish everybody in the audience can probably smell it. Yes, but you at home will have to kind of imagine, because it just looks wonderful.
It's just something that's a little different this time of year. It's not something you're going to cook on a Tuesday just because, but around the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, it's really nice to treat yourself and kind of give you a little different flavor.
It's just special.
It really
is.
is.
Special. All right, well, Tony, thank you so much. Some wonderful ideas. You did a wonderful job. It looks delicious. We're going to take a break. We've got all kinds of great ideas. We're going to give you some more information as well. You can go to the website at foodcity.com for more.